Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Friday Night Comics. How are you all doing? I see Zombie Teddy, Viking Buddha, Nobody Not Me, and Old Guy Gamer made it. How you guys doing? Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Hanging in there off work, 3-day weekend, and trying to finish late nights. Oh, nice. Well, enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you have something fun you can do. Hey, TOS, how you doing, man? All right, got a few articles of interest here that hopefully you guys will find as interesting as I did. Hey, Spud Gun, how you doing? Oh, good. I got a little bit of a sinus thing going, so I'll probably mute myself occasionally to blow my nose. I try not to do that live. It's gross. Same with sneezing. Hey, Ira. So let's see what we've got up on deck first. Let's see. What'll be most interesting? All right, let's start with some comic news from Bleeding Cool. Ugh. So many pop-ups on their page. It's gross. Yeah, apart from the sniffles, I'm okay. Just kind of run down a little bit from that. And been blowing my nose, so it's sore all the time. And it's gross. But it's part of fall. It's like my seasonal thing. Every fall and spring, I can tell the seasons are shifting by how bad my sinuses get. I should probably eventually get that looked at. All right, so I don't know if anybody's been reading the Immortal Hulk, but apparently there is now some controversy between the two creators, Al Ewing and Joe Bennett. Hey, Sir Adamantine. No, I mean fall, because I fall down a lot. I trip over stuff. Al Ewing will no longer work with Joe Bennett after Immortal Hulk number 50. The deleted cartoon by Joe Bennett, drawn in 2017, resurfaced online this week. It caused much consternation. It features Jair Bolsonaro, president of Brazil, on horseback, wielding a sword to behead his political opponents, including former Brazilian presidents, mostly people whose names I can't pronounce, as well as a senator, amongst other political figures seen as rodents and vermin. A number of people online have seen this as reflecting anti-Semitic tropes and have spoken out about the visual language being used by Bennett. This now includes Al Ewing, writer on the 5-year run of Immortal Hulk that Joe Bennett has drawn, which is to conclude next month with Immortal Hulk 50. As well as writing extensively for Marvel Comics in recent years, Ewing is known for his work on 2000 AD and has created our own series, We Only Find Them When They're Dead, which isn't very good, like most of his work. So Al tweeted out the following day, there's an image doing the rounds that Joe Bennett drew back in 2017. I won't link to it, but I've seen it and it's reprehensible. If you've seen the image, you know what it is. An armored swordsman, which I assume represents Bolsonaro, given Joe's commentary, slaughtering tiny, scurrying people with buck teeth and ears of rats and big noses. One of them is cosplaying Dracula. I'm assuming these are political enemies of some kind, but even if not, the tropes are apparent. Human beings are vermin being exterminated. Even if it's no longer up, it was drawn in the first place, signed and so proudly displayed by Joe speaks volumes. This isn't the first issue with Joe that I've been made aware of. Spoken behind the scenes, but that's no comfort to people at the sharp end of this kind of brutal propaganda. My lack of public visibility on this has let people down, and I apologize. Well, if you didn't know about it, how are you supposed to do anything? That's dumb. In the interest of adding some material action to that apology, I've made donations to Rainbow Railroad and the Rainforest Trust. But they're not cutting the rainforest down, and they're not the gays. They're political opponents, you dumbass. I understand if that feels like an empty or insufficient gesture for those reading this. It is, because it's stupid. Immortal Hulk is done, but I won't be working with Joe again. If people choose not to pick up my work or with other artists in the future on the basis of my handling of this, I understand and accept that. Oh, quit apologizing, you fucking pussy. If I've lost your trust, that's on me. I can't speak for Joe on this. Well, why would anyone think you could? And why would anyone think that they've lost your trust? Because that's stupid. If you didn't know about it, how could you have ever spoken out? Blah, blah, blah. Those hurt by his behavior in the past should be willing to accept from him now. He's made his bed. And with all this, I'm probably going to remain off Twitter myself for now. Yeah, that's always a good idea. Or not read or reply to mentions for a while. Again, if this feels insufficient, I understand you. Oh, quit your mealy mouth pussy in. Of Immortal Hulk, which Bennett apologized for and blamed on errors. Yeah, he tried to sneak some propaganda in the background and was like, oh, it's an error. Previously expressed support for Bolsonaro supporting journalist who assaulted journalist Glenn Greenwald, though he deleted it and apologized to Greenwald afterwards. That's only after he got called out. Joe Bennett has not chosen to comment on the current accusations and is currently still slated to draw event one-shot titled Timeless, along with Mark Bagley and Kev Walker, written by Jed McKay. Jed McKay sucks. He could be good, but he doesn't try. Intended to line up Marvel storylines into 2022 as Marvel Now incoming and Marvel Comics 1000 previously did. That, of course, might change. This is an attempt to get Bennett canceled, which he did draw some anti-Semitic tropes in there, the buck teeth and the rats with big noses. So, and Bolsonaro is a very divisive character in Brazil and abroad. Hi, Hey Camel. Hey Circus. Hey Oki. How you guys doing tonight? So yeah, Joe Bennett is probably going to get canceled out of this. He's a good enough artist to land on his feet and get some work, but this pretty divisive material. That sort of thing is a lot more open down in Brazil. You don't need to try if you don't care. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Evil One. Al Ewing's little apology thing there is stupid, though. He should just been like, I didn't know. I'm not going to work with them again. It literally would have taken like 3 sentences. Instead, he's got to do this flogging routine and go through this ritual confessional thing and do some Hail Marys and donate money to a rainforest trust for whatever reason. So that's pretty stupid. But it looks like Joe Bennett might get at least pushed into the indie market. Like I said, he's a decent enough artist to find work, but he does have a habit of inserting things into his material that is probably not going to go over well with a lot of people. So I could see him getting pushed out into the indie work, probably get picked up by like some of the Comicsgate crowd, stuff like that. He won't be making the money he used to, though. So that's what's going on there. On that note, another article from Bleeding Cool. There's some more shakeups over at DC. Katie Kubert, granddaughter of Joe Kubert, the famous artist, has been promoted from editor to senior editor and team leader in charge of global publishing innovation. It includes digital, media, audio, global, and DC horror. Also, Maggie Howell, longtime editor at DC, has left, with former editor Andy Corey stating she is the heart and soul of our original Black Label group under Mark Doyle. Under Mark Doyle, almost everything in Black Label was Harley Quinn and Joker. That's it. So that's not that bad of a shakeup, but they're losing another experienced editor, so we're going to see more problems and the art and stories and continuity. She's taking a job over at IDW, where Mark Doyle was appointed their editorial director. So, yeah, IDW is getting some more talented staff, but we're going to talk about IDW a little more in a bit. They may not be too long for this world if they keep the pace they're going. Another editor, D. Lopez, is also supposedly leaving. And he did some real garbage work, like DC Superhero Girls, Mr. Miracle. Deathstroke was okay, but he was only an associate editor on those books. Dan Mirren has also left DC. He was a vice president. So that's interesting that they've lost some more talent. Katie Kubert's stepping up her role quite a bit. But we'll see how well that plays out. All right. Let's talk about some positive news for once. So the CD's Batwoman, no, it's not getting canceled. But they did cast the version of Poison Ivy they're going to be using. And I know this is going to come as a shock. That Redhead did not get replaced with a black woman. I should have warned you more. I'm sorry. But they cast Bridget Regan as Poison Ivy in CW's Batwoman. Bridget Regan was, she's hot. Look at her. She's adorable. So good casting. She's a good actress. And I saw her first in the, A Wizard's First Rule TV adaptation they did in Australia. Forget the name of it. But it was based on the Good Kind books. And it was a very, very loose interpretation. Like, very loose, very liberal. But she was a really good casting in that as the lead female. And she looked really hot in that. So, yeah, it is a hot redhead, Okie. Yeah, she is gorgeous. Yeah, they cast a ginger. I was shocked too. Legend of the Seeker. Thank you, Okie. I was just drawing a total blank. It was shit, but she was hot, and I watched it for her. She's a decent actress, I think. So, it can now be said that Hollywood's streak of race-swapping redheads has been broken. Yeah, bullshit. This from Bounding. This was a fluke more than anything. She works cheap, I think. At least temporarily, as DC and Warner Brothers TV have announced they are sticking to the crimson-colored roots of a particular well-known Batman villainess. That's a terrible image there. According to Variety, actress Bridget Regan, who played Russian sleeper agent in World War II-era Black Widow Dottie Underwood in Marvel's short-lived Agent Carter, which I like that show. I thought that was fun. Will play eco-terrorist Poison Ivy when the green-thumbed metahuman debuts in Batwoman's third season. That was teased at the end of last season, where her name was mentioned. See, I think she'll do fine in the part. It's a shame it's on Batwoman instead of like a movie. But, you get what you get, I guess. Regan plays Pamela Isley, a former botany student who's described as passionate, brilliant scientist with a mind for changing the world for the better. Variety writes a character bio, which most comic readers are academically familiar with. Great sentence, guys. But her plans shift when she gets injected with plant toxins that turns her to the infamous villainess. The outlet continues describing a deed Jason Woodrow, the Floronic Man, is usually responsible for. I doubt they're going to introduce the Floronic Man. But yeah, they're casting an actual redhead, and I am shocked by that. Especially a hot redhead. This is from the Gotham TV show where they had Poison Ivy. That's not Bridget Regan. Ivy is returning with a vengeance to a live action. After a brief stint, several-year hiatus from TV, she last popped up from the soil in Gotham, where her childhood self was portrayed by Claire Forley from Sinister, while her full-grown adult version was played by Peyton List, the CW's Frequency. In a more famous turn, Uma Thurman played her in Batman and Robin. Never mentioned that movie. It's dog shit. Which is arguably what really brought Pam's career to the mainstream, alongside, of course, her iconic appearance in the Batman animated series. I would say Batman animated series did more for that. And then she's in the cartoon with Harley Quinn, etc. So we can look forward to this. The season kicks off October 13th. So I'm actually intrigued by this because, like I said, I think this chick is smoking hot. And I would like to get to know her no-no places. I wish they would revive Swamp Thing, too. That looked really cool. Yeah, that was a big trope back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, Louis, to name people with kind of related to their names or make their names two of the same letter, like J. Jonah Jameson is JJ, J. Peter Parker, PP. PP. She's starting to look old. Yeah, well, as you get older, things happen. I think she still looks good, though. She'd be black and gay. She probably will be gay. They've kind of forced that in on Harley Quinn and her. So, yeah, they probably will be making her gay. It's the right kind of red hair. Yeah, she's a natural redhead, too, so... Two of you haven't hit the like button. I'm shocked, too, Uncle Ira. Richard is Robin. R is R. Is that really a thing in the Batman universe? It's not as noticeable. It's just sort of kind of an internal thing people would do to remember who was who, I think, because they were working on 5 or 6 books at the same time. And every now and then you'll find an editorial goof up where I think there's one where Peter Parker is referred to as something else. Peter something else. I don't remember. You could look it up. There's articles on that sort of thing. Asians or redheads? I don't care, dude. My preference is Asians, but redheads are fine. Swamp Thing would probably be called racist somehow. Yeah, well, he's appropriating swamp culture. I mean, they'll say it's like a slam against people that live in the bayou or some stupid shit like that. I don't know. They're not smart. Like I warned people before, I'm going to have to mute myself occasionally to blow my nose or sneeze because I got a little bit of a cold coming on. Asian redheads are the best of all. You're not wrong. Although you got to watch them. They're twice as stabby. I get you, Ryan. I get you. All righty. Damn it, you're going to make me work even harder. All right, let's talk about a little bit of cancel culture. Then we'll get into some more stupid swapping nonsense. Hand-me-down mantles. This one comes from Bleeding Fool, which doesn't have pop-ups, thank God. The Diversity Day episode of The Office has been removed at Comedy Central. The long-running and hit show The Office, I'm sure you've all seen it at some point, whether even by accident. The episode Diversity Day was recently omitted from a Sunday marathon screening of the long-running mockumentary series on Comedy Central. The episode, which satirized contemporary corporate diversity and inclusion initiatives, appears to be the latest casualty of an increasing censorious woke society. The censorship noted by Barstool Sports at the time. Yeah. That was an early episode, too. That season was only like 12 episodes, maybe. So, yeah, it's not surprising. Instead of slapping a trigger warning on an episode of The Office, Comedy Central quietly omitted it from the rotation, thus sending OCD-riddled completionists into delirium and prompting me to blog about it, drawing even more attention to this, dare I say, canceling of a modern-day icon. Fret not, as this doesn't mean that you can only watch Diversity Day on some shady site that gives your PC cyber crabs. You just need to pony up to enjoy it on Peacock, or pay the $3 for any number of streaming outlets. It also means Comedy Central doesn't get the first parts of its name. Yeah, well, there's that. Rear Admiral, I don't know who that is, commented on it and wrote that little bit that we just read. The episode features principal characters Michael Scott, played by Steve Carell, impersonating a Chris Rock comic piece regarding black people's attitudes of other black people. He later does a parody of an Indian accent. ... Feather. Diversity Day is possibly one of the series' most exceptional episodes, using Carell's character to make casual stereotypes of bigotry look ugly. The audience applauds Kelly when she eventually decks him. Yeah, that's the thing. They were making fun of those caricatures and showing how stupid they look when somebody does them. So why they would remove that sort of says they were upset that people were pushing back against somebody making that. So you're defending the wrong person here. Steve Carell hinted in 2018 that the production of The Office at the time would be impossible owing to today's political considerations. He's not wrong. As Carell points out, the point is wrong-mindedness is the risk of offending individuals greater than the reward of making a point about racism's wrongness. Jokes based on mocking intolerance aren't usually accurate. Comedy is highly personal experience, however, it's intended to be offensive. It must be offensive. I pretty much agree with that. Comedy Central did not comment on why they pulled the episode when the Federalist or Barstool Sports made inquiries. Maybe we could call them Cowardly Central. Haha. Now, this goes to what we've been talking about the subtlety of blocking things that are not popular. So, since this has fallen out of favor, they're just going to memory hole it so you can never see it again. And they're helping you to forget it existed. And we've seen this with DVD releases, even newer ones of shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where they took out a couple of episodes. I think Dee's Day was the one that was removed from season 14, where she does an impersonation of an Asian person that is an obvious caricature, but the main characters on that show are all bad people. So you'd expect something like that from her. And it just mocks them. But that doesn't matter. We've even seen it with Netflix showing the broadcast version of Back to the Future 2, where the scene where Marty finds the sports manual with all the betting stuff in it, and it's really just the cover of it added to an Ooh La La magazine, and they deleted that sequence and altered it so it makes no sense. But that's the scene. That version of it was the one that was put on Netflix. So if you were watching on Netflix, you'd think you were experiencing some kind of Mandela effect. So, yeah, it's... Oh, thanks, Pete. No, I just got a little bit of a cold. Have you ever tried one of those weird warm water sinus pumps? I tried that. It feels too gross, and I've heard bad things can happen if you don't use proper water, like cleaned water. Inflated an Asian redhead from Aussie land in college. Oh, you dated an Asian redhead from Australia. Wow. Talk about unicorns. Turning Splash Mountain at Disneyland into a swamp. Yeah, I heard that. That's dumb. Before the wokeness went mainstream. Yeah, you couldn't make shows like The Office now. It'd be considered racist. It was the second episode, but too bad you don't get to see it anymore. He's a very weird guy, Louis. Yeah. Hey, Dark, how you doing? I'm still pissed I can't stream the D&D episode of Community. Yeah. There's a lot of shows like that. They're just going to pretend they never existed. And they're going to start removing them from streaming services or broadcast TV. And they've been doing this off and on, little by little. But it's starting to get more and more obvious because they're doing it to more and more recent stuff. When they were doing it to older stuff like Song of the South, most people didn't care. You could still find that stuff. The Song of the South keeps getting posted on YouTube. So you can find it through semi-legitimate sources that probably aren't going to give you what that guy called cyber crabs, and I'm totally stealing that. But you're going to have a harder and harder time finding that as this ball gets rolling more. No, Louis, they said that they just accidentally aired the wrong version, but I don't believe them. I think that's just more subtle woke crap sneaking in. I just don't trust any of these big businesses anymore. Good to see you, Pete. At work, debating on getting a new video game instead of working. Oh, yeah. Oh, that work always blows. Yeah, I always try and get physical media before they decide that something's problematic. Hey, Assassin. Oh, thanks for linking the show, man. Appreciate it. So, yeah, that's just another example of a little bit of wokeness sneaking into our day-to-day lives. And I think we're going to see more and more of that. All right, give me 1 second here. Got to blow my nose. I'm going to be real happy when my sinuses are better. All right. Okay, let's talk about a new graphic novel that's coming out. New young adult graphic novel. All right, this comes from Screen Rant. Meet a new Gotham hero and her dog in Whistle. Yeah. Coming September 7th, that's right around the corner, DC's introducing a new kind of hero for today's youth. Whistle, the star of a new eponym of a graphic novel, Whistle, a new Gotham City hero featuring a teenage activist going up against some of Gotham's heaviest hitters. Introducing Willow Zimmerman and her trusty dog sidekick, Leibowitz. Oh boy, a dog named after a feminist. This new young adult illustrated novel, it's a graphic novel, shut up. Written by decorated best-selling author E. Lockhart with art by Manuel Pratano, will explore a more down-to-earth version of famously super criminal-infested Metropolis. Metropolis? Why is she a Gotham City hero then? Think you meant something else. Part of DC's recent trend of releasing novels' perspectives on classic heroes in less traditional epic and more grounded reimaginings, such as Wonder Woman Tempest Tossed, I Am Not Starfire, and The Oracle Code. Those were ground. Oh, shut up. Whistle presents the protagonist, Willow, as a young secular Jewish denizen of Gotham neighborhood of Downriver, a 16-year-old student activist who volunteers at a local animal shelter. Struggling to make ends meet when her mother falls ill, Willow takes a job with an old family acquaintance, Enigma, the Riddler, and soon finds herself embroiled in Gotham's criminal underbelly, hosting elite poker games for the master criminal. Poker games, wow. Such hardcore criminal activity for the Riddler. Following a mysterious meeting with Killer Croc, which ends up granting her a sixth sense and the ability to talk to her rescue dog. What now? This is grounded in reality. What? The stage is set for a new hero to emerge in Gotham. In a press release from DC Comics, writer Lockhart described the joy of crafting the story using some of comicdom's greatest villains, reinterpreting Gotham's macabre menagerie of menace into the best dark mirrors for her new hero, saying she'd always loved Batman's rogue gallery. Apparently not Batman. Here's some images. All right, this is Enigma. I knew you'd solve it. My, how you've grown. That's the creepiest sentence I've heard in a long time. Look at that art. That's kind of, I don't know. Baby plants, free to good homes. Aha, it's poison ivy. Get it? But that grounded in reality, right there, kids. Virtue, oh Virtue, where are you? Exactly. The ultimate villain, man spreading. Why she got to be an activist? It is stupid, but that's how these people think. They can only see in their own perspective, and activism is the real superheroing of the day, I guess. Something fucking dumb. I don't know. I just do not understand these people. Where is my damn mouth? Oh, this is totally a power fantasy of a blue-haired college student, Ryan. The story will cast Riddler as a recovering addict and real estate mogul who offers Zimmerman a job in order to pay for her mother's medical bills. New version of Poison Ivy will also assist the fledgling superheroine as she lobbies Gotham City Hall to meet its commitments to underserved community while also plotting her own catastrophic misdeeds. So the hero is getting help from a villain. That makes total sense. And the big superhero thing she's doing is getting City Hall to meet its obligations to an underserved community. That's dumb. Killer Croc rounds out the villainous clad serial killer portrayed near to his traditional appearance. Yeah, I wonder why. They couldn't just make him a dude with like alligator boots or something, crocodile belt. So this looks absolutely dumb. I think the art's a little too indie. It's got that kind of like what you'd see on Kickstarter look, and the color schemes really do not work for this. They're real big on this like peach color in the indie scene. I don't know why, but they really, really like that. These like simplistic color tones. So this is going to be another trash young adult book. These have been not doing well for DC too, so I don't know why they keep churning them out. Modern writers appear to have no meaningful life experience, and their work reflects it. Absolutely nobody. That is 100% true. They have no real life experience. A lot of these kids are adults, actually. I call them kids because they're mentally toddlers. They have the mindset of spoiled rich kids that maybe they went to college, but they've never had to really work for a living. This is all just side gig for them. And it's really disappointing. Bet you'd call Green Arrow far right. Probably. All right. Next up, let's talk about another hand-me-down mantle. This is from Bounding Into Comics. New race-swapped Rocketeer film announced for Disney+. New movie based on Dave Stevens' original graphic novel, The Rocketeer, unsurprisingly set to feature a race swap of the flying hero, has been announced for Disney+. Now, there's already an animated series with the little girl, and the helmet is totally different, which is really lame because this is an iconic helmet. Now, the Rocketeer is based loosely off Commander Cody from the Radar Men of the Moon and the other Commander Cody appearances in the old serials. Dave Stevens was a fan of those, and I believe he passed away a couple years back, but he created the Rocketeer as an homage to those old serials. And he used to do a lot of cheesecake work. Like the cover of DNA Agents number 24 had a pinup style appearance of one of the characters in there. And these are old works of his are actually reasonably valuable. That DNA Agents is $50 or so. And their old Rocketeer stuff's pretty valuable. And if you've never seen the Disney movie, it's a fun kids movie. I liked it. I thought it was fun. It's pretty cheesy, but it's supposed to be. Hey, Random. Hey, Shady. How you doing, man? Well, we're too late, Random. Articles about incels not buying my book. Absolutely, Viking. As first detailed by Deadline in an August 30 exclusive, the new film, The Return of the Rocketeer, will be written by Ed Rickort, who wrote Marvel's Jessica Jones and Wayward Pines. Wayward Pines season 1 was good. Shouldn't have had a season 2. And produced by David and Jessica Oilewo. I don't know how to pronounce that. Through the couple's Yoruba Saxon production company. This is a shot from the original 91 show. Basically, he's a test pilot that finds an experimental rocket backpack, and he goes to fight the Nazis in the homeland here in the States. So get ready for that to get all flushed away. David, perhaps best known for portraying Peter Snowden in Nightingale and Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma, is also in consideration to star as the film's lead. He's a retired Tuskegee airman who adopts the identity of the Rocketeer. So he's stealing someone else's identity and equipment. Awesome way to feature a black man. Good job, guys. Were he to land the role, it would not be the first time What's-His-Face will have been recast as a member of the African-American aerial team in the Lucasfilm-produced Red Tails 2012. He portrayed First Lieutenant Joe Lightning Little, the pilot who heroically sacrifices himself during the movie's climax. That was a pretty good movie, I think, if I remember correctly. Created by storied comic book artist Dave Stevens, The Rocketeer first appeared in 1982, starring in a series of backup stories featured in various comics published by the now-defunct Pacific Comics. Eventually, the pulp serial-inspired gold-helmed adventures of stuntman Cliff Secord were adapted by Disney in 1991, serving as a direct basis for the film The Rocketeer. And here you can see some of his art here. It has very much like a Will Eisner look to it. I love that shot. That's a cool picture. In addition to the Oilewo's, Brigham Taylor, Jungle Book 2016, Lady and Tramp 2019, will also serve as one of the film's producers. Furthermore, athletes Blake Griffin and Ryan Kalali, alongside their Mortal Media production partner Noah Weinstein, are attached to executive produce. Interestingly, it's the second attempt. Yeah, here's the kid one I was talking about from Disney Junior. Notice the helmet is completely different and looks like lazy cosplay. But this is for little kids. The film, The Return of the Rocketeer, Disney did not specify whether the upcoming film will be related to the 1991 original or the 2019 reboot. I'm pretty sure they're talking about the original 91. Now, that one took place during World War II, so this one, if he's a retired Tuskegee Airman, it's going to be set several years later than World War II. So I think this is a bad idea because this lazy race swapping tends to mean that there's going to be little to no plot, and they're just banking on race swapping. If the movie's good, that's a different thing altogether, but I think they should just follow through with a direct sequel with Cliff Secord. They don't have to have the same actor. Obviously, that guy's several years older now, but they could have a different actor take the same role because the costume looked really cool. He had this cool pilot jacket and the helmet and the backpack. It was a really good thing. One thing I would change is he did have this control on his glove, which seemed really awkward to me. And it was very limited. He couldn't control how fast he was going, stuff like that. I thought that was kind of a poor move. The original Commander Cody had a chess piece, which was equally badly planned, but he could adjust how fast he was going. And that was a lot cooler. So I think this is just more lazy hand-me-down mantles, just for the sake of having another black hero. Instead of creating a new one, they're just doing more lazy race swapping. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think that's incredibly fucking lazy. Let's see what you guys are saying. They're pushing feminine pastel colors. Yeah, they absolutely are. They absolutely are, Assassin. Do not remake Rocketeer. Too late. I did like the original. I thought it was fun. Dave Stevens died in 2008 from leukemia. Oh, Jesus. That's a horrible way to go as an adult. Or as a kid, even. But adult leukemia is really wicked. A friend of mine, when I was at Boy Scouts, died of leukemia, and it was pretty fucked up. The helmet with a curved fin, it looks so cheesy, but so cool. Exactly, Evolved. Exactly. They even make a joke in the movie that it looks like a hood ornament, and it does, but that's part of the fun of it. It's supposed to be a cheesy family film, and it worked really well. And Timothy Dalton did a great job in that movie. He was so over the top. Jennifer Connelly, yum. I have that on DVD somewhere, but yeah, they're probably gonna swap it out, make it dumb. Anymore, I don't want to watch remakes. Been burned too many times right up there with anime live action adaptations. Yep. It's always a slap in they don't even slap you in the face anymore. It's a tap in the dick. One of those light grazers that hurts for like 20 seconds later and it makes you double over. Yeah, it's one of those. The A-Team remake was good, and True Grit. I thought that remake was good. It was different enough that it didn't really crap on it. You could enjoy the original, or you could like the remake. The remake was a little more accurate with the book for True Grit, and the A-Team remake was just as fun as the TV shows, I thought. I know, Evil One, woke. That's the key word there. They don't want to take away everything you love. They want to destroy your good memories of it and make you think you're the crazy one. Yeah, Uncle Ira. John Hughes was smart. 2005 King Kong. I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing of that. Yeah, if you get a chance involved, check it out. It's definitely not going to be for everyone because it is aimed at more like middle schoolers, I would say. But it's a fun, cheesy movie, and you could usually find it on DVD for like $10. It might be going up now, but they might even vault it because of this. That's what they've been seemingly doing is when they race swap something, they make it harder to watch the original so that you're more inclined to watch the new version. They get some agreement on the remakes. Most remakes are trash. RoboCop was a great example of a trash remake. See the Wheel Time teaser. I saw it was out. I haven't watched it yet. I did see the Spider-Man one and Moonfall. Moonfall looked really good. I think Shady told me about that one. That looks really fun. A-Team was like a C minus. It was entertaining. I didn't hate it. I thought it was fun. And the recasting was pretty solid. Liam Neeson as George Papard's character, Hannibal. It was fun. It's on Disney Plus. I can watch it. It might be. I don't know. I don't have access to Disney Plus at the moment. I got to get the permission to use that one again. Took me 3 times to watch King Kong. I fell asleep twice. Yeah, it's too long. That needed to be short like the original, or the 78 version at least, with the dude. Dredd wasn't a remake, Evil One. I would disagree because it was done properly. That Catastrophe Stallone did was not in any way a real movie. That was something I refuse to acknowledge exists 99% of the time. Show now, isn't it? Are they adopting it as a TV show? Oh, hey, comrade, how you doing? Series on Amazon. Okay. All right, let me blow my nose again. I've gone through 2 boxes of Kleenexes since last night. Fucking gross. Stallone was a remake of Demolition Man. Yeah, the Demolition Man movie was amazing. I love that movie. So accurate for modern era, unfortunately. But that was just fun. It was supposed to be kind of over the top, kind of cheesy. But I'm fine with it. But the Judge Dredd one, that was just so stupid. Anyway, Jex is racist. Yeah, that seems to be the indoctrination speaking for a lot of people. They really are falling for that crap. Godzilla vs. Kong was cool. Yeah, I love that movie. That was so much fun. The original I liked as a kid. But that new one they did was a lot of fun. So I'll give credit for that being a good remake. The scenes in what was that, Singapore or Hong Kong, wherever it was they were doing the actual big fight, that was awesome. Dredd was a cyberpunk cover of the Raid. Yeah, what's funny is don't think they really knew too much about each other. But yeah, they're both great films. If you like one, you'll probably like the other. The Raid had so much more martial arts stuff that was awesome. The Dredd had more gunplay. I own both of them. They're fantastic films. Oh, Evolved, you're missing out. Godzilla vs. Kong was surprisingly fun. Still too much of the humans. I don't give a shit about them. But it was good monster action when they had it. And if you haven't seen the original, it's crazy too. It's so silly and over the top. And the guy in the monkey suit, that monkey suit looked really, really hot. All right, speaking of Judge Dredd, though, let's talk about him. This is from comicbook.com. Judge Dredd is coming to Call of Duty Warzone and Black Ops Cold War. Yeah, you heard that right. Judge Dredd, the man you might know as The Law, and also a famous comic book character. Okay, yeah, don't be stupid. Is officially coming to Call of Duty Warzone and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Activision announced today. Judge Dredd will join as 2 new and different operator skins for Beck during the upcoming Season 5 Reloaded for both Call of Duty Warzone and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. While the release of Season 5 Reloaded is set for September 9th, the exact release for Judge Dredd has not been announced, unfortunately. Later in this season, the limited-time Tracer Pack Judge Dredd Store Bundle will become available for purchase. The announcement detailing Season 5 Reload reads in part, the bundle includes 2 new legendary operator skins for Beck, Judge Dredd, and Comic Strip, a black and white cel-shaded variant of the Lawful Bringer of Justice. In addition to the aforementioned skin, the bundle will include weapon SMG, the Arbiter rifle, assault rifle, and the Lawgiver pistol. Additionally, the bundle comes with the incendiary finishing move, Book of Law weapon charm, Judge's Watch wrist accessory, and animated calling card and emblem. Activision has not yet released exactly what they will look like, but there's still plenty of time considering Call of Duty Warzone and Call of Duty Black Ops 5 Season 5 Reloaded have not yet been released. Check out the images of Dredd below. It's just, that's useless. Let's see. How much is this going to cost? Kickoff September 9th. Both titles will be available on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series XIS, Xbox One, and PC. But Warzone is notably free to play. No price given. So it'll probably be expensive. So Judge Dredd is going to be in Call of Duty for you Call of Duty people. So you can get a skin of him. They're fucking that up too. I'm not surprised, random. Yeah, it's always just a skin involved. I still think that'd be kind of cool, though, if you're playing Call of Duty to run around as Judge Dredd. That could be a lot of fun. Want to hear some more tabletop news? I have some. All right, let's talk some games. All right, in gaming news, this is from comicbook.com also. IDW is exiting tabletop game industry. This came out, 3 days ago? 2 days ago? IDW has shuttered its tabletop game division due to rising trade costs. Earlier this summer, IDW reported to its shareholders that had exited the tabletop line of business during a quarterly report on earnings. The comic publisher and media company noted in a report that it had experienced a one-time loss related to tabletop games, the write-down on various capitalized expenses. The report also noted that IDW had exited the tabletop games publishing business. IDW Games recently let go of several key staff members in recent months with no replacements immediately lined up. IDW Game Imprint, IDW Games, had published a number of high-profile licenses, including a series of games based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. The TMT games were campaign-style board games based off IDW's Reboot comic series and raised over $1.5 million between 2 Kickstarters. I'm not sure why they're shutting this stuff down. They already have the licenses. You think they'd want to make the most of it. But if they're not making money, I understand. But if you made $1.5 million off 2 Kickstarters, I think you're probably doing okay. This is definitely some serious downsizing from IDW that does not bode well for the company, since their board game division was probably the one making the most money. Now, I've got a couple of their games. I've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, and some of the ancillary stuff for it. I've got Splinter and April O'Neil, and they're not bad. They're pretty well done. I thought the game was fun. We only played it once. I don't think I've released that video of unboxing it. Crap. All right, I got to write myself a note on that. Okay, good to know. I'm smart. So, yeah, there's a lot of potential for money there because they have all the Hasbro licenses. They have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They've got Usagi Yojimbo. There's a lot of potential. They even did a Batman animated series game, which raised $1.6 million last year on its Kickstarter. So, yeah, they canceled projects for Metal Gear Solid board game, a Bomberman game, and Lock and Key. Lock and Key they own, I believe. Metal Gear Solid and Bomberman, that's a waste of licenses. Why wouldn't you make these games? Just do them on Kickstarter. You'll get a big chunk of change on it. People would play a Metal Gear Solid board game. I know I would. Especially if it came with a cardboard box. In a statement to Dicebreaker, we're going to get to Dicebreaker here in a minute. IDW confirmed it's winding down its tabletop business, although IDW would complete both the Batman animated series game line, which is still in the process of fulfilling Kickstarter pledges, and the upcoming Ghostbusters Men in Black crossover game, which looks fucking awesome, and it's a shame they're not going to support it more. No other games in active development due to rising trade costs. I don't know why they don't have stuff made here in the States. A lot of that is because of the rising costs in China. I think they probably could do it for a pretty similar price here in the States and at least have it locally and not have the shipping costs associated. Comicbook.com reached out to IDW but did not receive a response at press time. The board game industry as a whole has experienced a tumultuous year due to supply chain disruptions and other rising costs due to the COOF. One running trend within the comics industry is the rising cost of shipping, and the cost of shipping from China, where many games are published, has increased immensely in recent months. And that doesn't help that we're in sort of a dispute with China over the South China Sea. So those prices are not going to get any lower anytime soon. In fact, a lot of people are probably going to get shafted out of product. So yeah, it's kind of a sad state of affairs for IDW. What is with Jack and the Turtles? I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They came out when I was in 8th grade. GW has me pissed off. I'm on a tabletop for a bit. Yeah, that's understandable. Some of the miniatures games, especially, I've been sticking to the stuff that comes in the box, like Zombicide and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I picked that up really cheap, actually, because the comic store was going out of business. I got it for like $40. I've got the Ghostbusters board game, too. I have to do an unboxing of that one. And that one was pretty good, as I recall. I played it once. It didn't look like it had a whole lot of replayability as far as like playing it every week like Zombicide would. But minis games, I just got tired of paying the extra for them. Hey, Buster. Hey, Lesser. Oh, and hi, Tony. Forgot to say that. They took a strays from the fans, and I will never forgive that. That's not surprising. I think you're going to see more woke stuff coming down the line. All right, but speaking of Dice Breakers, I do have a few interesting linked articles here. So bear with me on that. So over at Dicebreaker, Power Rangers RPG drops D&D 5th edition gameplay will debut new Essence 20 system. So we're going to see some Power Rangers RPG, but they're creating their own system, which is D20 based. And that's interesting because they're also doing what, quite frankly, IDW should have done, and that is a Transformers RPG. But wait, there's more. They're also doing an official G.I. Joe RPG. So you ever wanted to play a G.I. Joe or a Transformer? Now's your chance. And IDW has the licenses for G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Power Rangers. Well, no, they don't have Power Rangers. Boom Studios does. But why they didn't do these, I have no idea. Now, I was reading this, and the core books are going to be about $55. I think they have a My Little Pony one, too. Yeah, My Little Pony. So, this cover looks really cool. This is the archive, so I can't blow it up. But they're doing a new system called Essence 20, which is to replace the D&D 5th edition build they were going to do originally, which is probably a smart move. So now they can do a little more with it without somebody threatening to sue them. And D&D's been real woke lately, so it'd probably be a good idea to distance yourself a little from that. And this, when does this come out? Renegade's yet to announce a release date for the G.I. Joe game, but listed the core book pre-order at its online store for $55. I'll probably buy this, actually, because that looks pretty cool. Transformers, I don't think has a release date either. Oh, it's released March 2022 at a retail price of $55. All right, so G.I. Joe 1 will probably come out a couple months on either side of that. And March, I know what I want for my birthday. And Power Rangers, I think, is coming out before that. Oh, no release date. No release date shown anyway. Yeah, so they're just changing their system over. I didn't know about two of these. I knew about the G.I. Joe one, kind of. I'd heard that was going to happen, and I'd heard that they were supposed to do this, and there was something about it that changed, but I figured it was canceled. So 3 RPGs that have the same rule set, so there's going to be some crossover potential here. You want to play Transformers crossing over with Power Rangers, or do like a Transformers Headmasters? Now you can. My bet is they'll fuck it up. They might, Eagle. They might, but you never know. You never know. It might be good if they really like the system. You never know. You don't like a D20 based system, prefer D100. You should be looking at Call of Cthulhu then. You might like that one. That's more horror, but yeah, so that's what's going on the RPG front. And I thought that was interesting. I wouldn't mind reading the books, see if they sound any good. Let's talk about somebody. Fuck it up these days. All right, so the symbolic world host Jonathan Pageau decries Kevin Smith's Master of the Universe revelation for an interesting reason. This is from Bounding into Comics. It's because it's perverting masculinity. Wow. Somebody came out and said it. Jonathan Pageau, the host of the Symbolic World, recently decried Kevin Smith. In an introduction to his video, Pageau, what's this guy's first name? Jonathan. That's his name now. Details that he will be addressing. It might seem like a strange thing to talk about this kids show, but I think it's important to understand and see one of the prime examples of a strategy that I've noticed in pop culture, which is, of course, using masculinity against itself. He elaborated, using the capacity, the tendency men have to sacrifice themselves for the world in order to then use it as a trick to replace the masculine with the feminine. This is what I've been complaining about for a while, and me and lots of other people. Diving into the subject of the video proper, Jonathan first notes that He-Man really is the image of hypermasculinity. Yeah, so what? It then goes on to reiterate that He-Man is used to replace the masculine with the feminine, explaining, it is not surprising that the very character would be used to play out the narrative that I've talked about in so many of my videos, which is the replacing of a masculine character, a male character, with a female character. Of course, the female character has masculine characteristics and is supposed to be a warrior and a badass and a combatant and all that. But nonetheless, this really is a kind of stepping aside and being replaced. Jonathan then lists a number of other films and TV shows where this is and has taken place. This happened, of course, in the Wolverine movie, Logan. It happened in so many different instances in the past several years. It's also happening a lot more. You need to get ready for it. It's happening also in the Loki series. It's going to happen again with all these fictional characters. He's not wrong. I mean, look at those dude guns and the flat chest and the girlfriend, the masculine features. As for why they're doing this, Jonathan claims the reason why they're doing this is very simple. It's because this is our generation. That is those of us who are now in our 40s. We are at the peak of the generation, you could say. He elaborates, we have reached a kind of peak influence in terms of culture and in terms of what will be the cultural narrative. The people that are my age in their mid-40s, they are the ones who are running the show in terms of TV shows, in terms of movies, in terms of all of this. This is the generation that is now running the cultural narration. I would disagree slightly. I would say it's more the generation younger than Gen Z or Gen X. It's more Gen Z, Gen Y running things. The millennials, effectively. They're a little younger and they tend to have a lot of influence. It's just Gen X is allowing it to happen. And so it makes sense that the battle for the cultural narrative would happen in these franchises that represent our childhood, whether it be Marvel, whether it be something as stupid as He-Man, whether it be Ghostbusters. All these franchises are the ones that we had as children that were part of our memories and the memories that formed our perception of masculinity, our perception of storytelling, and not that it is in the sphere that the battle is happening. Jonathan then recaps the first episode of the show. In the story, what happens is that the character of He-Man in the very first episode dies. After he dies, he is then replaced by the female warrior. I think her name is Teela, and she pairs up with the female bad guy. And the entire story is about them. It is about their arc. They become the main characters. At the end of the series, the last episodes, what we show that, again, the main character, He-Man or Prince Adam, die in order to save the world. And this is where the game is being played. He's not wrong. There's minor disagreements I have with him, but he's not wrong. Reiterates again, I've mentioned many times that one of the strategies is going to be to use masculine tendencies to sacrifice yourself in order to remove the masculine. And so what it does is actually leads the character up to a point which is really a messianic point, and it's used as a trick to then toss the main character aside, the masculine character aside, and then replace him with a feminine character because the future is female. And of course, there's a bunch of gaslighting. There's a bunch of saying, no, that is not the point. That's not the point. But if it only happened once or twice in a few stories in a few franchises, you could think that. Obviously, that story can exist. But when it becomes a pattern, a systemic pattern, then we have to look at it in a different way. He then plays a clip of Smith explaining what happens in the first episode. The clip has Smith saying, here we do in episode 1 is he gives his fucking life. He sacrifices his life. Now, I've been accused of lying, of saying He-Man does no stepping aside. If He-Man's giving his life for the entire universe, is stepping aside, then Tony Stark stepped aside. Jesus Christ stepped aside. Those are unrelated things you fucking half-wit. It's a messianic moment if you follow classical literature, the hero's arc. It's where the hero has to go eventually. You have to sacrifice your life for the greater cause, Smith says as the clip ends. That's bullshit justification. The hero sacrificing himself is one thing. It's another to purposely do it to replace him with a female character. Jonathan then analyzes Smith's comment, saying, you can really see that he has understood the pattern. He understands the story pattern of the Christian knight, of the Christian hero, because he names Christ and Tony Stark, which was really a Christian image. He names this pattern as the one he has basically used to create his He-Man story, the one of self-sacrifice as the ultimate arc of the hero. But then instead of having a resurrection but not necessary in the character, but maybe another character, it is definitely used to toss aside the masculine character and replace him with a feminine character. Now, that's what happens in this show. And we've seen that time and time again. Look at Star Wars, what they did with Rey, tossing aside Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Chewbacca. She basically steals his dog, his spaceship, and his sword, and then his name at the end to complete her transformation into him. While Jonathan notes that this pattern of storytelling and strategy is going to get worse and get crazier, he also sees it as an opportunity to tell better stories. It's an opportunity for us who are willing and capable of telling better stories to reflip the story, to be able to present a Return of the King story, which will be more satisfying than the one that is presented here because it's truer to the divine pattern. It's truer to the pattern of the return of Christ at the end of time, which is what a lot of these story arcs are, is the hero goes out, he fails, or he sacrifices himself and then rises again. We see that best explained with the Dark Knight series in the Batman comics, Nightfall, where Batman gets his back broken by Bane. He's replaced by someone else, but he has to come back out of retirement, heal himself up, and in Night's End, he has to defeat his successor. So, yeah, and that was very condensed in Dark Knight Rises. So that's the story arc that they're really manipulating for their own gain. Now, of course, you've got books like Gilgamesh, where the character, or the story of Grendel with Beowulf, where the hero falls and does sacrifice himself, but he doesn't pass it off to someone else as a cheap ploy. Even in the story of Christ, there is the resurrection, but there's also the return of the king at the very end, of the divine logos coming to judge the living and the dead. And of course, this is the smaller way we could tell that story, like the story of Aragon, like the story of the return of the King Richard that we find in traditional stories. Yeah, King Richard's a great example. If you haven't seen the play, check out the Kenneth Branagh movie. Including his video, Jonathan explains why this perversion of masculinity and replacing masculine characters with feminine characters is a horrible thing. This is a horrible thing, not just because of feminism or whatever, but because these feminine characters are not actually feminine. Their female characters are masculine, and therefore end up being, as I've said many times, a diminishing of the actual feminine and the casting aside of the actual feminine because there's no room for those characters anymore. He's not wrong. And we end up having this hyper-masculine world, which is also inhabited by people with breasts, but are hyper-masculine at the same time. And we've all commented on this before about how feminine characters now that are considered tough because they have masculine traits. Well, then you diminish what it means to be feminine. And I agree with that from this guy. He's got a really good point there. It's okay, Jack. We'll go to a 4-hour rant in a bit. Yeah, I'm really pissed about this He-Man thing because it is just the latest example of diminishing of the masculine inspirational roles that we have. There are no John Waynes anymore. Look at the men that they're portraying in movies. They all look like yoga instructors with some very effeminate traits, crying all the time inappropriately, not stepping up and doing what needs done. Just a lot of half-hearted, namby-pamby whining and bullshit like that. So the diminishing of the true actual female role of the feminine is gone and replaced by this masculinized woman who is a woman in physicality only is really disturbing and probably should worry us all. And these guys really need to do more classes on folklore and literature to get a better understanding of what the arc is. Like, they've clearly never read Hero of a Thousand Faces or even books about the divine feminine, things like that. They have no concept of what femininity really is because they're coming from this Hollywood West Coast culture and places like Portland where they have a very skewed idea of what femininity is, and to them it's just masculinity with a vagina and boobs. It's really disturbing to see that, because it really does diminish the women that are feminine and the heroes we've seen that are feminine women and what their arcs are, because they have different story arcs that apply better to them and are demonstrated better in other works. Like The Color Purple has a definite feminine arc because it relates more toward what women see as their heroic arcs. Abuse, relationships, that sort of thing. The success of the Hallmark Channel and Lifetime is there for a reason. All right, I have to do this real quick because we're over halfway through the show, and I'm a bad person, so there's Michelle. Like, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill. And let's talk about some movies that are coming out. Got some release dates here for you. Massively, strongly. Yeah. Not all women want to be these buff dudes that want to go out and get in street fights. Like, even if you go back to 80s action films where you had female characters that were strong, independent women, like China O'Brien, Cynthia Rothrock still managed to be feminine while being tough. Being tough does not mean just becoming a man and having boobs and badge. That is not what that is. You can be a strong woman physically and still be feminine. There are a lot of them out there. Olympians, they're not all bunch of like raging man haters. So that's ludicrous. All right, let's go to Cosmic Book News. All right, Top Gun, Ghostbusters, Mission Impossible get new release dates. So Top Gun Maverick got moved from November 19th to Memorial Day weekend next year. So it went from November 19th this year to the spot originally held by Mission Impossible 7, which is May 27th, 2022. Why they keep pushing this movie back, I have no idea, but it's going to flop if they keep that up. Meanwhile, Mission Impossible 7 has been moved from May 27th, 2022 to September 30th, 2022. Jackass Forever is now going to be February 4th instead of October 22nd this year. Ghostbusters got moved forward a little bit. It's now going to be November 19th instead of November 11th. So I'm okay with that because that's 1 week. They are concerned about people not wanting to go to the theater because of the coof. But it looks like the rumor is the Venom's going to get pushed back to January 2022, which I think is a terrible idea. Morbius will probably get pushed back yet again. That movie's been done for like 3 years. They've really missed the window for that one. There's also talk that Marvel will push back the November release date of Eternals if Shang-Chi bombs at the box office. Guess what? It bombed. It bombed horribly bad. We'll get to that in a minute. Regarding why all these release date changes, Hollywood trades are blaming the coof, as basically every movie released since Wonder Woman 84 has been a huge fail. I think it's more that a lot of movies have just been total dog shit, including Wonder Woman 84. That was a really tepid movie. I'd put that as like a D-. And people are getting fed up with Hollywood's BS. Yeah, these movies aren't good. They're not entertainment. They're propaganda. And you can tell that, but they point out here, restaurants being packed and sporting events. Yeah, people are afraid of theaters, and here's a crowd of people. Tomorrow War, somebody recommended that to me the other day. I think that was Shady. Or Evil One. Evil One mentioned that. Hey, Becca, how you doing? Still waiting to see Free Guy. Yeah, I heard that was pretty good. It's like a C- movie. But it was fun, I guess. So yeah, Top Gun, Mission Impossible, Jackass Forever, all getting moved big time. And some of these really are, that's a terrible idea to keep moving these movies. Ghostbusters is actually going to come out this year, which is a smart move. Be a good fall film. They should have moved it closer to October, though, before Halloween, because it's a Halloween movie. You could watch that. There's no good Halloween releases anymore. And if they'd put it in October, it probably would have done a lot better, because people want to go see horror movies, and horror-omedy, which is what Ghostbusters kind of is going to be a lot better in that front. So let me find the Shang Chi article, and we will discuss that. Nope. Oh yeah, I forgot about that article. Nope. Oh, there we go. This comes from Variety. Shang-Chi made $8 million in its Thursday preview. $8 million. That is horrible. My crush before Deb Gibson. Everybody knew Cynthia Rothrock in the 80s, dude. She was awesome. You can't go wrong with some China O'Brien. I have that on VHS. I have both of them. Hey, Deckfish, how you doing, man? Oh, your day off. Nice. All right, so, yeah, the video can't be played. Apparently, it's not worth playing. So, let's see what Variety says here. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings debuted at $8.8 million in Thursday night previews. The impressive number is the second highest preview result of the coup, just behind the $13 million Black Widow pulled in 2 months ago. That is pathetic. Remember, Black Widow only made like $40 million. And $8 million, they're saying that's good? No, that is freaking horrible. A buddy of mine went and saw it last night. I have to call him and see how it was. It's been getting good reviews, but I don't trust reviewers most of the time, except myself, because I'm awesome. Watch my videos. So, yeah, there's too much flatiating going on for free stuff. Yeah, some other numbers I don't care about. Shang-Chi was expected to open between 45 to 50 million in domestic box office, but that number could climb higher given the sterling preview results. I don't know. It depends on how much people like this, but 8 million for an opening Thursday is trash. And of course, they're blaming the coup. But Shang-Chi could benefit its big screen exclusivity, unlike Black Widow, which ended in a lawsuit. The previous Marvel film, Shang-Chi, will only be available in cinema for 45 days. Black Widow debuted simultaneously in theaters on Disney Plus and resulted in a lawsuit. Yeah, they said it bowed out with 80 million in July. That's garbage. That is garbage for a movie that they probably spent 150 million to make and another 100 million to promote. And because they sat on it for over a year, it really lost its audience. It probably would have done triple that if they had released it during the coup. But no. Nope, they're dumb. Shang-Chi may also get a boost from good reviews. It's got a 92 rating on Rotten Tomatoes. If anybody trusts Rotten Tomatoes, you're foolish. That is so cold and aggregated. It's such a scam. Variety's Peter DeBurge praised the film, writing it broadens the brand's spectrum of representation, once again offering the audiences of Asian descent the kind of empowerment for which Black Panther paved the way a few years back. If that's the best you can say about this film, that film is dog shit. If you're focusing on representation over the action of a kung fu movie, over the acting, over the sets, over the special effects, over just the story in general, your movie sucks. Oh, it's got great representation, guys. If somebody said that to you in real life, are you going to go see that movie? No, because you're going to think it's stupid. You're like, all right, that sounds boring. No, I don't fucking care. Michelle Yeoh's in it, which is probably the only reason I will see this film. All right, so yeah, that's kind of the big point of the story. Is it made 8 million in its opening day? How many theaters is it in? It's not going to tell me. Okay, it made 8 million on Thursday. I don't think that's as stellar as they're trying to puff it up to be. This is trying to boost it so people will be excited, but 8 million on an opening Thursday, that is not good. There's a lot of empty seats there. Just because Rotten Tomatoes is run by a former Disney exec doesn't mean it won't be biased for Disney, right? Is it a documentary? No, it's about Shang Chi, the master of kung fu, and it looked like it's okay. Oh yeah, Extraction. I want to see that. Heard Shang Chi sidelined for assist Katie, actress being fakes being black. Oh, lovely, lovely. See, I'm not really excited about this one. The previews looked boring. They focused more on weird aspects of the storyline rather than actually making it look like it's a fun movie. It didn't look like there's going to be a lot of kung fu based on the previews. Like, he's the master of kung fu. They should be doing nonstop martial arts in that trailer if you want people to see it. An Asian representation? Yeah, remember this guy called Jackie Chan? Weird. He was big about 30 years ago. I mean, I saw Armor of God back when it was first on VHS in the States, and that was 1990. And that was probably my first introduction to Jackie Chan. That and Drunken Master. My brother had all of his movies on VHS. And he didn't get big till like Rumble in the Bronx in the States. That'd have been probably 93. But I think Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee broke that ground a long time ago. Even fake Bruce Lee, where it was Bruce Lee L.I., saw all those movies. I saw Sonny Chiba's films. We had Chopsaki Theater on one of the local channels. Well, kind of local. And they would show all kinds of awesome kung fu films. I saw tons of them when I was a kid. You're not breaking new ground here, Marvel. Stop sucking your own dick. Yeah, Bruce Lee was the inspiration for Shang-Chi because Marvel wanted to cash in on the martial arts craze of the 70s, so they made Shang-Chi. 43,000 or 4,300 theaters apparently. That's pretty good, but if you only made 8 million out of 4,000 theaters, that's not that great. It's not really about Shang-Chi. That doesn't surprise me. I like the character. I don't know if that guy's great casting for the character, but I'll probably see the movie. I don't really want to. It's not anything that I'm in a hurry to see. Like Black Widow also looked kind of boring. I think they really missed their opportunity with these. And making the 10 rings bracelets is kind of weird. Really, the old comics would cost 75% less and be more popular. Yeah, or either you're not wrong. If they just made an espionage martial arts film, it did a different type of Marvel movie, it probably would have been a lot better received than what it is. Because now you don't know if it's a superhero film or if, because Abomination's in it, or if it's trying to be a martial arts film and it's trying to find some weird hybrid thing in there when it really should just be an espionage film and have a lot of martial arts in there. Legend of Drunken Master is still one of my favorite kung fu movies. Yeah, it's because it's fun. They knew how to make entertaining movies. It didn't have to be a cinematic classic. You didn't have to spend millions of dollars to get a bunch of big name people. You just had to make something entertaining, and people will watch it. It's your job to watch it for us because we sure as hell won't. Yeah, I know. I will try and watch it, but I'm just not that eager. I love going to the theater too. Drunken Monkey's a great film also. Yeah. What was the other one? Was it Iron Monkey? That was really good. Last Hero in China is one of my favorites. That's a Jet Li film. Once Upon a Time in China and America is a great film. It's Jet Li in the Old West. You really can't get much more awesome than that. Like a lot more if they had an actor grow out his hair. Good luck. Yeah, Kung Fu shouldn't be CGI heavy. You could do some wire work and stuff like that, but CGI seems a little stupid. Rumble in the Bronx is a great movie. It's not one of my favorites, though. I think he's got some better ones. Armor of God 1 and 2 were great. Ip Man was good. I like the first 3 of those. There's some great martial arts films out there. Maybe I'll do some kind of one-off stream where I talk about martial arts movies for a while. That could be fun. I should probably do that on my movie review channel that's been sitting there unattended for like 3 years. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's a good one because it's got Michelle Yeoh. Wing Chun is probably one of my top 20 all-time favorite movies. And that's a Michelle Yeoh film that is above and beyond awesome. Grew up with Chinese, Japanese, monkey magic, scared the crap out of me this day. Yeah, a lot of the cool movies back then were just fun. All right, let's talk about Star Wars for a second. This is from Bounding Into Comics. And this is Thandie Newton blasts Star Wars for killing off her character in Solo, a Star Wars story. And you can all guess why. I'll give you one guess, and you know what it is. Oh, Hard Boiled and The Killer were classics. Mickey Mouse. The dubbed versions were silly. Actress Thandie Newton didn't mince words when she put Lucasfilm and Star Wars on blast for killing off her character in Solo. Newton played Val, a human criminal who not only worked with Tobias Beckett, but was also romantically involved with him during the events of Solo. Val died while Beckett led his team on a raid of 20 railcrawler convoy transports containing valuable coaxium needed to pay off Beckett's debt to Crimson Dawn leader Dryden Voss. While Beckett, Han, Chewie, and Rio attempted to grab one of the transport's cargo units containing the coaxium, the Marauder Enfys Nest and her soldiers arrive on scene in order to steal the coaxium from under them. Meanwhile, Val, who was positioned to destroy... Oh, spoiler for a movie that came out like 5 years ago nobody cared about. Was delayed and pinned down due to the deployment of Viper droids that originally was sent to intercept Beckett. She tells Beckett, I'm going to have to finish this job from right here. It's been a ride, babe. I wouldn't trade it for anything. She then proceeds to detonate the explosives and blow up the bridge where she's located. I don't think we needed the visual of a bridge blowing up. It's not the bridge over the River Kwai. Newton addressed her character death while speaking to Inverse to promote her latest film, Reminisce. She first expressed her disappointment, saying, I felt disappointed by Star Wars that my character was killed. She then proceeded to reveal in the script her character wasn't actually killed, but was like shot into space or whatever, so you could bring her back. There was an explosion, but they decided at the last minute to make it would make more continuity sense to do it in this scene, and it'd be more memorable. But she goes on to say, but I remembered at the time thinking this is a big, big mistake. Not because of me, not because I wanted to come back. You don't kill off the first black woman to ever have a real role in the Star Wars movie. Like, are you fucking kidding? No, they're not joking, dumb bitch. Jeremy Griggs apparently responded, I don't give a fuck about Jeremy Griggs. I don't watch Geeks and Gamers, too much drama. He said, Lucasfilm never cared about representation. Lucasfilm never cared about diversity. Lucasfilm never cared about you, about your social justice causes. Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily wrong. I think Kathleen Kennedy is a true believer. But when it comes to making the movies, you're there as a token. You're not there for actual furtherance of any cause. You're just there to be a little token symbol for them to get backpats at parties. So he's not wrong. That's why we continue to say that all this is pandering and projection is nonsense. Yeah, he's right on that too. A lot of it's projection. I think it is pandering and projection for some, and for others it is a legit cause that they're trying to push because they want to erase certain elements and other people will just go along with it for pandering purposes so they could get invited to the right parties. So, of course, it's because bigotry and racism. Bridge over the River Kwai? No, Kwai, not why. Bring back Porkins? Hell yeah. Am I supposed to care about this? No. I just think it's funny that it's never for storytelling purposes like, oh, the character had so much potential. It's because I'm black and you should have let me live. Sour grapes. Characters get killed all the time. Your skin tone doesn't have anything to do with it. It was supposed to be a heroic sacrifice. It was kind of lazily done, but here we are. But speaking of the racism, let's look at another Bounding into Comics article. And this also includes Disney. We need Star Wars Porkins. He can hold it, starring Jonah Hill. Nah, screw Jonah Hill. That guy's an idiot. Sounds like whining to me because they're all doing this all over the place. Yeah, she's got sour grapes because her character was killed. Anyone see the new Candyman? Any good? I've heard really bad things, man. I hate to tell you, but it's looking like it's one of those social justice nightmare remakes. Stay on Darkwind. All right. From Bounding into Comics, Disney moves forward with Reimagine Tomorrow campaign despite being exposed as part of critical race theory movement. The Walt Disney Company decided to move forward with their Reimagine Tomorrow campaign. I just read that. Despite the, according to documents obtained by journalist Christopher Rufo and published in May, Disney's Reimagine Tomorrow included training on systemic racism, white privilege, white fragility, white saviors, microaggressions, and anti-racism. Now, we kind of went through this briefly a while back in one of the streams. I don't remember. It was a little while ago. But they're going forward with it. In the document, Disney claims the murders of Breonna Taylor, Sean Reed, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Tony McDade, Nina Pop, Rashard Brooks, Edme Traore, and countless others are part of the long history of systemic racism and transphobia. The document also includes white and non-black people. Will instruct white and non-black people to examine and work through feelings of guilt, shame, and defensiveness. I don't have any of those. To understand what is beneath them and what needs to be healed. We've got an insert here. Let's look at reflect. Being introspective will allow you to explore how dimensions of your identity affect your lived experience and ways to manage your emotions without inadvertently burdening others. Are you burdening others with your whiteness, people? I recognize the power and privilege you have based on who you are. Consider your motivation as an ally now. Reflect on the questions below. As a person who aspires to be an ally, have you shown up in the past? What does that mean? Shown up? Shown up where? And what? Who said I aspire to be an ally of some cause? I just want to be left alone. How can you affect change in your sphere of influence? Is there an opportunity to share your learning with other allies? This is all worded like a cult manifesto. Reflect on the diversity of your personal network and professional networks and how racial and other dimensions of your identity give or do not give you access and advantage. Proximity to black people or being part of a marginalized group does not mean you cannot harbor bias. Acknowledge your emotional reactions in this process. Annoyance, the source of discomfort. I'm not discomforted, I'm annoyed. And productive ways to address it. Here we are. Examine the work through feelings of guilt, shame, and defensiveness. I still do not know how to work through any of this because they never tell you how to work through anything. To understand what is beneath them and what needs to be healed. I don't have any injuries from this. Recognize your colleagues and are also processing the ways in which the coup is disproportionately affecting the black community. What? If you are feeling confused, shocked, and have recently awakened to systemic racism, recognize that this is probably not new to your black African American colleagues. Avoid messages like, I can't believe this is happening. If I was sitting in this training, I wouldn't be believing this was happening. And it goes on about all these people being murdered. U.S. protests. The current unrest represents a tipping point and heightened awareness of the movement. It also instructs them not to question or debate black colleagues' lived experiences. Oh, fuck off. Just because somebody thinks you're being a racist doesn't mean you're being a racist. People are stupid. Instead, white and non-black people, why is that not capitalized? And that is capitalized. That seems kind of racist. Should acknowledge and listen with empathy as black colleagues share their lived experience. We went through that booklet once before. Look, they're all stealing. What? Who built this fucking ramp? And why is this kid in a wheelchair? Why is this crippled kid, this Asian kid, and this black guy all hanging out together? And why does he look like Wayne Williams from the back? And why are they all stealing from this baseball stadium instead of getting tickets? So they're going to go forward with this. We kind of covered most of this already. Oh, there's a trailer here. Disney implies the young black kid is seen as a criminal. An elderly Middle Eastern man is seen as a foreigner, and a woman in a leadership role as bossy. The trailer concludes saying Disney commits today to showing the magic in every life. Magic of being bossy, a foreigner, and a criminal. However, when you go to the Reimagine Tomorrow website, it specifically says Reimagine Tomorrow is our way to amplify underrepresented voices and untold stories, as well as championing the importance of acute representation in media and entertainment, because we are all greater than a single story and we deserve to feel seen, heard, and understood. Why do you need to feel seen, heard, and understood? Why does the world focus on you? Guess what? It doesn't. Hey, Jordan. That's just more woke crap coming out of Disney. If you look at the section on the website labeled Our Intentions, there clearly states that by 2022, 50% of our regular and reoccurring Disney characters across Disney general entertainment scripted content will come from underrepresented groups, which gives people a very skewed perception of how many of those people are in society. If you say half of them are from underrepresented groups, that means they're minorities, which means they're a small population. There's still like 60% of the population is white, like 13 to 15% is black, 6% Asian. I don't even know what percentage is American Indian, but it's not a huge population. So it gives people a very skewed perception of how many people. Like if you watched or read comics, you would think that half the population is gay. This is not it. It's like maybe 10% if you factor in all the people faking it for fun. It's clear the campaign is not to show magic in everyday life, in every life, but also for whatever Disney defines as underrepresented groups. Hard not to imagine that the entire campaign was built on underlying racist ideas those trainings conveyed. So they're bringing these back in May. After it was exposed to include these back in May, they're still bringing them back. So they're going to go forward with this crap. I'll drop the link in the chat if you guys want to read it. Gallup polls repeat. People think gays are at least 40% based on TV. Exactly. And this is just saying white people are evil and everybody else is oppressed. And that's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, Ginger, you're not wrong. Although they are going to leave Poison Ivy alone for once. So there's that, I guess. All right, let's talk about Rick and Morty for a second. Apparently, the season finale of Rick and Morty did something interesting, and that was a live-action segment. Actual racist virtue signal. I don't think you're wrong. So in this segment, they cast Rick with the inspiration for Rick, which apparently comic book resources didn't know. So Christopher Lloyd played Rick in a live action promo. And I was surprised to learn this because I haven't been watching Rick and Morty for the last 2 seasons. So Christopher Lloyd and Jaden Martell were in a new promo released days before the season finale. The official Adult Swim Twitter account released a teaser just days before the 2-part season 5 finale of Rick and Morty, teasing live-action versions of the characters with Lloyd as Rick Sanchez and Jaden Martell from It as Morty. Which episode the two will appear in has not been revealed, but the tweet has been captioned C-132, a reference to one of the many multiverses that exist in the Rick and Morty universe. C-132 in particular is the universe in which the versions of Rick and Morty from the first 2 volumes of the comic series are said to be from. So there they are in their costumes. I watched it earlier. I thought it was kind of funny. It's very brief, but I'll drop this in the chat too. The next 2 episodes of Rick and Morty Season 5 air on September 5th on Adult Swim, with Episode 9, Rick, Morty, Jack, Samurai Jack, and Episode 10, Forgetting Sarek Mortshul. The promo sees the live-action duo, whose animated versions are both voiced by the series co-creator Justin Roiland, stepping through one of Rick's iconic green portals into a live-action segment. You can watch it for yourself. This is not the first time Lloyd has played a mad scientist. He's best known for Doc Brown. Yeah, you get the idea. So if you want to watch it, the link is in there, and it's also on Twitter, of course. Poison Ivy isn't gay for Harley anymore. They've made it official in the comics that they're a couple. They're just not gay together right now. And don't forget, they're turning Kid Superman gay because they can. So, yeah, I thought the Rick and Morty thing might be interesting. So some of you, I know there's some Rick and Morty fans out there. But let's talk about a Spider-Man rumor that's been going around. And that is the Charlie Cox rumor. This is from Cosmic Book News. Charlie Cox shoots down Daredevil rumors. Now, this scene here was in the trailer for the new Spider-Man film, No Way Home. It doesn't appear as if Charlie Cox will be Daredevil in No Way Home, and it's been confirmed that that is not the actor Matt Murdock in the recent trailer. This is clearly not Matt Murdock. This guy's got a little bit of a gut going here. The new trailer released by Sony showed Tom Holland's Peter Parker getting grilled by the cops, and people were thinking that this was Charlie Cox for some reason. And he said, no, those aren't my hairy arms. Cox also revealed last year that he's not even in Spider-Man No Way Home and won't be playing Daredevil in the flick, which is contrary to a bunch of rumors that have been offered. Cox will at least show up as Matt Murdock in the film and then go on to appear as Daredevil in other MCU properties, including Hawkeye and She-Hulk. I haven't heard those rumors, but it's certainly not with my Daredevil. I'm not involved in it. Cox said at the time, if that's true, it's not with me, it's with another actor. Cox also said back then that he would love to play the character again, but offered that for whatever reason they weren't allowed to cross over into the MCU. And now the rumors have been saying that he was one of the people, along with Kingpin, that were going to be in these properties, and he's apparently denied that. He's a fan of the movies. He loved the idea, blah, blah, blah. There's rumor that Kevin Feige might actually be going with his own version of a new Daredevil in the MCU. As reportedly it has said, Feige is a control freak who likes to do his own way. And it's also been said Feige didn't get along with the former head of Marvel TV behind Daredevil Marvel Netflix shows, Jeff Loeb. Now, I'm not a big fan of Jeff Loeb overall, but I can see him and Feige button heads. They're both very creative control freaks. So that might be why Feige apparently does hold grudges from what the rumors are. So this wouldn't surprise me. And the Netflix stuff appears to have been scrapped. So, yeah, there's a possibility of some recasting here. So that's not Charlie Cox in the movie. And he's denying that he's in any of the MCU stuff so far. They can charge more money. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Although they'll end up with some hackney loser nobody that nobody likes in the role because they just don't give a crap about what fans want. I like Charlie Cox as Daredevil. I thought he did a good job. Alrighty. Let's talk about Action Lab, and we'll round out the show with these 2 articles. These are from Bleeding Cool. Buttons are hard. Wrong buttons. Just listen to my mouse click. So Rich Johnston talked to Brian Seaton about Action Lab. Action Lab apparently is in some trouble. It's Action Lab time. In recent days, there have been a surge of creators' comments on social media regarding. Oh, shut up! Stupid phone. Sorry about that. Usually have it on vibrate. Action Lab is based out of Pittsburgh, and there's been a lot of social media posts about people not getting paid. Which operates. Action Lab Comics operates both Action Lab Entertainment and Mature Readers One Action Lab Danger Zone. Spoke with Action Lab President Brian Seaton about creator concerns. Now, this article just dropped today, so this is actually kind of big news. Brian, of late, a number of Action Lab comic creators have taken to social media complaining about late payments, missing payments, poor publishing plans, and repeatedly a lack of communication from Action Lab. Some phrase this as being ghosted by Action Lab or the company keeping their books hostage. Brian Seaton answers, Rich, unfortunately, some of your statements above are true, but not all. When the world shut down in March 2020, blaming the coof again. We had no idea what was happening. I'd been on medical leave since November 2019 and officially resigned from my position in February 2020 for health reasons. That's understandable. I also remained as a member of the board of directors and was no longer active in the day-to-day operations. The president of Action Labs, Sean Pryor, resigned around the same time as well. This unfortunately left no one steering the ship, so to speak. Oh, he resigned. My bad. So no one was in charge. The board did not fill either position and felt the staff should be able to continue doing their jobs they had been doing for years. The staff did not feel supported by the board and not confident making decisions. It was a recipe for disaster. Yeah, what moron doesn't put somebody accountable for all this? When Diamond shut down and informed all publishers that until further notice would not be paying any money owed, the board of directors felt the best course of action would be to comply with mandated COOF protocols and shut down operations, allowing everyone to collect unemployment compensation. Action Lab tried to reopen at the end of July. However, the board of directors, after 3 to 4 weeks, decided to shut the company down again. It remained closed until the spring of 2021. All projects and releases had been postponed or canceled except for a few of our in-house books that we kept producing to help our work-for-hire artists. If you release an in-house book and sales numbers are low, you only hurt the company. However, if sales are low on a creator-owned work, you may have ruined the only chance that book had for success. We acted in that way, in the way we felt would be best for everyone. We are currently relisting many of the postponed books that we will still have under contract in a way that our limited staff can handle. With our contracts, automatically release the work if not published by ALE within 1 year of final file submission. That depends on what contract they have. Some of these people are complaining that there's stuff that they did in 2018 they didn't get paid for until 2020. So it predates these complaints of the COOF. And blaming the COOF for all their issues is a little disingenuous, and it's a lazy out. So he goes on to say, first, I apologize to every one of our creators for the lack of communication and any problems the shutdown has caused. No one at Action Lab is ghosting you or holding your books hostage. Well, it sure looks that way. Any payments currently due to creators have been paid. I find that suspect as well, because some of these posts that I've been seeing on Twitter are within the past couple weeks. So there's people that are saying they still haven't been paid, or they've been paid really, really late. If you didn't pay someone until 2020 for a book that came out in 2018, that predates your claim of the COOF and makes you look like a scumbag. Some of our contact lists have been lost due to the transition of staff. That means people didn't come back. And many of you have tried to contact staff that are no longer with the company. We need your help to fix this. So he drops an email address. Okay, whatever. If you are an ALE creator with the book under contract, please send us an email at your earliest convenience. He's returning full-time in August after being out of the day-to-day for almost 2 years. Now, if he quit for health reasons and he's going back in, that does say a little bit about him. But at the same time, they dropped the ball in a very public way, and now they have to bail themselves out if you don't want to get a bad reputation. They still need creators to come to them with books if they want to stay in business. What do you think can be done to restore relations with these creators? He responds, well, first and foremost, better communication. Duh. Why do you believe comic creators should trust you publishing their work going forward? Brian Seaton responds, I don't believe any character should blindly trust any publisher. Those are good words of advice. Suggest they read our contract and handbook or talk to people that have worked with you. We're very upfront with what we expect and we live up to our contracts. Well, that sounds like a lie considering what we've been hearing. They've apparently had several books that are completed and were supposed to have been published ages ago, and they just haven't done anything with them. If the book's complete and you're not releasing it, that's on you. Diamond has been back up and running for a long time now. What is the issue? I feel our contract is one of the best in the industry, and I stand behind it 100%. Well, not if you're not honoring that contract. And since they have a lot of stuff under contract, a lot of the independent people can't get their rights back because those contracts have to be fulfilled in specific ways. Now, he says that stuff's released like a year afterward. Well, that depends, because if it says a year after publication and they just never publish the work, you're tied up in a legal fiasco that could go on for years, and you might have to sue them to get your rights back. Dirtbag crew. Yeah, there's that too, straight. You're not wrong. Webtoons again. Yeah, it does sound like a lot like Webtoons. Is Action Lab where they made Action Man? No, I'm afraid not. But that's not the end of their woes over at Action Lab, though, because they actually were embroiled in a lawsuit previously that just got settled. And that is for Zombie Tramp. This is also from Bleeding Cool. Zombie Tramp comic creator settles with Action Lab over lawsuit. This happened in, 2020, I think the lawsuit was. That's a sexually suggestive comic book, obviously, created by Dan Mendoza. It first appeared in a series of self-published graphic novels from 2009 to 2011. In 2013, comic publisher Action Lab of Pennsylvania began publishing the comic book series, and it's been running there since. But since April 2020, there have been lawsuits running between Dan Mendoza and Action Lab over the use of the character. However, all litigation was then withdrawn this year as all parties agreed to settle. So it took over a year to get to this point. And today, a joint statement was issued by To Bleeding Cool after we approached Action Lab about this and other matters. Dan Mendoza and Action Lab Inc. announced today that they have reached an agreement to respectfully part ways on the production of Zombie Tramp and to place the Zombie Tramp character and story back into its original creator's hands for the future. Mendoza indicated that this is a meaningful agreement between me and Action Lab Entertainment, which allows Zombie Tramp fans to get back to the source of what Zombie Tramp was about from its inception. Creepy grindhouse horror with a slight of sexy with the original leading lady that fans love, Janie Bell. All written and drawn by me once again. I am happy that Zombie Tramp will be coming home to join all the new characters at my self-published label, Still Ill Princess Studios. That's a stupid name. He went on to note, I am proud of the work we created at Action Lab, but happy to have Zombie Tramp return to my individual and full creative control. Under the agreement, Action Lab Inc. will finish and release a final 7-issue run of the Zombie Tramp comic book series it has been producing, which it plans to complete by next summer. We are pleased to reach this agreement with Dan Mendoza, probably because they were losing their ass in court. It will allow Zombie Tramp fans to continue to follow Zombie Tramp's adventures as the title returns to Dan and moves forward, which is how the book and character began, said Brian Seaton, Action Lab co-founder. Action Lab is looking forward to giving Zombie Tramp fans a great final hurrah for our final issues. And I would also like to point out that the original origin story and the entire 84-issue run of Action Lab Zombie Tramp will continue to be available in print through Diamond and comic retailers and digitally through Amazon and Comixology. No, because Comixology just got shut down. They just merged that into Amazon. We are pleased to have worked with Dan on the Action Lab Zombie Tramp title and look forward to seeing how he will carry the character forward. That's a very PC way of saying he's fucking off and having nothing to do with us. While other details on the agreement remain confidential, Mendoza and Action Lab each reported being happy to reach an amicable conclusion to their cooperative relationship that works out well. Apparently, they had been using Zombie Tramp inappropriately over there, so he was upset about that, and they were basically using Zombie Tramp as like promo for themselves, and they weren't giving him the kickbacks, I guess. So he sued, and the way what he was suing for, he was probably going to win. And I think they kind of caught on to that, and they came to this parting of the ways where he gets his rights back, and he owns the character again. He probably gets the chance to reprint these issues because he did all the work on them. I don't know what their agreement was on that, but I'd be willing to bet that after a year or two, you'll see them being reprinted as trades under his book or whatever. So this is just another kick in the face for Action Lab. They're not paying creators. They're not paying the royalties. It looks like they've been ignoring phone calls, whether that was intentional or not. That is not a good look for a small company. Whether they're the first to really fall apart because of the pandemic or not is really to be seen. But I think they're going to be a casualty of the Diamond shutdown. Merger segment. Yeah, right. All right, everybody. Jesus is coming. Look busy. So, yep, Acts 2:38. Spread the word. You heard it from Redbird. So that is what's going on with Action Lab. It does not look good. That's going to hurt their reputation quite a bit. And their books have been massively late for ages. So this is not surprising at all. So yeah, I'm sure that this will get worse for Action Lab as more people come out and talk crap about them. I imagine if people are still owed money that you're going to see lawsuits spring up, probably in small claims court, because it's not going to be a lot of money. One guy said he only made like $4,000 in 2 years. That's pathetic. He was apparently owed a lot more money. So Action Lab's got a pretty bad reputation right now. But I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But that's the last of the articles that I was really going to cover. These other articles I have can wait. Because they're not particularly that interesting. And they can wait till the next one. Might cover some more D&D stuff. And laugh at the recommendations of comic book resources. So if you guys have any questions, we'll give it a minute for that. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up, and that'll call that an episode. I want to thank everybody for coming out. As always, it's greatly appreciated. And be sure and like, share, and subscribe, all that stuff. Oh, got my obligatory thumbs down. Oh, lovely. All right, not seeing anything. So, all right. Yeah, I've been reading a lot of comics, so should have some good reviews coming out. I have found some comics at Walmart, and there was a Batman book that I mentioned a few weeks ago that I found out there that DC did. I also found some Disney books. There's a Mickey Mouse one, a Frozen one, and there were two others. Well, Disney Princesses, I didn't get that one because I didn't care. It was sideways, and that's stupid. What was the other one, though? Princesses, Frozen, Mickey Mouse. They're in the stack here somewhere. Oh, and Toy Story. They were all issue ones, and they're by a company I've never heard of called Peachtree Playthings. They're sort of like the Learn to Read quality. They're really thick cardstock covers with cheap gloss, but the internal pages are really nice. And they have little activity stuff. There's a little coloring poster in the center and little trading cards on the back cover. But they were only $1. Well, 98 cents specifically. So I was like, all right, I'll pick these up and read them and review them. And it's a bunch of different stories from different places. So look at the Mickey Mouse one. There's a story from Poland, Mickey Mouse Sunday strip, an Italian comic, a Danish comic, and a Dutch comic. And the Danish, Dutch, Italian one, and the Polish one are all first-time U.S. publications. So if you're a big Disney fan, you'll probably want to check that out. And the other ones had original stories. So it's new material for Disney. If you're a Disney fan or you got kids that are comic age that want to read some Disney stuff, those would be good purchases. They were only $1 because I was looking for the Allegiance Arts ones, but they're not out yet. And then I saw these and I thought, well, I'll give them a review for only $1. Can't really beat that. Fulfilling contracts is really challenging these days, Kyler. People don't understand that. Seems the world is more open to independence to me. Yeah, because the main companies are crap now, so people are going toward the independents or buying back issues. I picked up a bunch of good back issues out of a 50-cent box the other day, so some good stuff there. Do you think the large companies are going to die out? I think they will mutate. I have a feeling that DC is probably going to shut down within the next couple of years, probably sooner. And what they'll do is they'll sell the name of DC Comics and license their characters out. So yeah, I think they're gonna, and Marvel's probably just gonna close up shop at some point. They've been screwing the pooch for years. And you'll see the characters licensed out to smaller companies, probably multiple companies too. So you'll have one company doing a Batman book and one company doing a Justice League book. And whoever's got the most money gets the most. Was your first introduction to gaming? Probably Dungeons and Dragons or Star Frontiers. I would say my brother played both of them, so it had been one of those. I got to play once or twice with my cousin. And then that was when I was like 8 or 9. And Cyberpunk I played in high school a couple times for like one campaign. Wasn't invited back. They didn't like me. And then I played Dungeons and Dragons in college and the interim between high school and college because I didn't go to college right away. Played second edition D&D a lot back then, and Call of Cthulhu and Champions. I played the most around that era, and I played that up until I was about 30 games of like that. Played a lot of games in college though. GURPS, Cult, played that a few times. Cyborg Commando I played a couple times in college and high school. Trying to think. There were a lot of games though. Mostly D&D and Cthulhu and Champions were the big ones. First comic I ever bought. I had comics as a kid. People would give them to us. It was a much more big thing back then than it is now. But the first one I ever actually paid for, I think, was the issues of ROM that I bought at a garage sale. That was when I started collecting. Because the guy that was selling them lived right down the street from my grandma. And he was moving for college. Or just moving, I don't remember. But he was right around college age. And I bought a couple issues of ROM because they had cool covers. And I went back to buy more because my parents saw how much I liked them. They gave me a couple more bucks. I went down there. And the guy was like, you should buy these in order. And I was like, what are you talking about, order? What does that mean? And he's like, they're numbered, see? And he explained to me they were numbered. And I was like 7 or 8. Yeah, that'd have been probably 80, 81, somewhere in there. So I was in kindergarten, first grade. And he explained all the order and stuff like that. So he gave me some free ones because I bought a big stack of them, and he threw in some others. That was a really big deal. So yeah, that would have been the first comic I ever purchased on my own. Oh yeah, I played Gamma World. That was a good game. Jello Race and Star Frontiers. Yeah, because they're fun. Morrow Project. I don't think I played that one. I don't remember. GURPS stuff was fun. The guy I played with was kind of a dick, so I didn't much care for playing that game for a while. But yeah, GURPS and Champions were comparable enough that we mostly just played Champions. Played Rifts for a while too. They've helped all of the companies to keep trademarks, but DC Marvel are going the way of quality comics. Sad. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, Marvel acquired a lot of other stuff too. Disney owns, I think it's like 5 comic book universes at this point because they own Malibu, they own CrossGen, they own Marvel, And then the Malibu stuff that wasn't Ultraverse, they also owned that stuff. So I forget what the other ones were, but they also own all the Disney characters, of course. So there's a lot of licensing potential that they have in various companies that Marvel acquired over the years. Hulk versus Wolverine was the first comic about. Wow, nice. Palladium and Rifts are fun. Oh yeah, absolutely. Rifts, there were people that just didn't get it, and so they wouldn't want to play because they just didn't understand the concept. It's a really cool story and a hell of a way to introduce you to the obsession of collecting, right? He gave me a bunch of free comics, though, and I ended up with this huge stack of comics. And I had most of the ROM issues that up to that point because he had most of them. He had tons of comics out there. He had like 3 or 4 tables of just comic books. And I liked comic books, but I didn't really pay that much attention until he explained to me that they're collectible and you could read the story in order. Because most of the time we'd get sporadic issues where you'd read the first half of a story and maybe you'd get another one 2 months later because we had to get them off the newsstand and they didn't always get the same titles in. So you just read what you could. We usually got Spider-Man and Star Wars, stuff like that. And we'd pick them up at garage sales. My mom used to go to flea markets. And one time I was sick and she brought me home some comics. And they were old Captain Americas from the Silver Age. And the first one I remember her buying me was 115, where the Red Skull has Cap in the Cosmic Cube. It's an iconic issue. And the covers back then were just so awesome. And I fell in love with it right there. But I read the crap out of that. And she had brought some Tales of Suspense, which was the precursor to Captain America, and a bunch of early Captain America stuff. Like that one was 115, and I had all the 120s and 130, 131, 132. And they were just awesome. I grew to love Captain America out of that. So it was always ROM and Captain America were my go-tos. More strategic tabletop gamer, Car Wars. Oh, I love Car Wars. Battletech was awesome. Starfleet Battles. Yeah, Starfleet Battles was great, but I never was good at it. I got to get the simplified version of, I think it's called Federation and Commander. I really want to get that because that looks like the dumbed-down math challenged version. Do you have a comic these days where you need the next issue when you're going to the store? Not too much, so much today. The Zorro books are probably the closest because I really like those. I didn't know these kind of comics existed except for the ones that caught my interest when you were reviewing Warlord. I'd probably read that. Yeah, Warlord is a great book. The first 50 issues of that are stellar. Mike Grell really knew what he wanted to do with it. It's interesting. The art is nice and clean. It did break way too easily random. I just got one a couple years ago. That was actually my icon for a long time because I'm a huge ROM fan. But the toy was so hard to find. And one time I had the chance to pick it up for $60, complete in the box, and I didn't do it because I needed the money for something else. I should have done it. Just went and sold some plasma. But I did manage to get one on eBay really cheap because the guy didn't know what it was. He listed it as like big robot guy or something like that. Battletech making a comeback. Yeah, that's good. Battletech was fun. I didn't like the overly complicated stuff. Like there were a lot of supplement books that people would rules lawyer with. But the nice, straightforward, simple box set rules, good times. I used to love going to 7-Eleven to check for new comics. Yeah, we had a drugstore locally that sold comics, and that's usually where we got them. But their selection was pretty limited because they were just getting them through the magazine distributor. And every now and then we'd go over to the neighboring city where my aunt lived, and we would go to the grocery store there, and they'd have totally different comics because they would just bundle shit up with the magazines and send them out. But they got like the Punisher and Continuity Comics, the Neil Adams series. We'd do those occasionally there and get them for like, they were more expensive, but it was worth it. Eventually Now Comics came out, and that was the licensed stuff, sort of like what IDW does now. They had Terminator and Ghostbusters and Fright Night, and we were able to get some of that stuff then, and that was really cool because that was totally different. And then we got a comic shop a little ways away. Yeah, I should have random. I really should have, but I'm dumb. But the comic shop finally opened, and we go out that way occasionally. And my dad would go in there to get magazines because he wanted to get a magazine, totally unrelated to comics, because that was primarily what they did. But they had this big comic section, and I would blow all my money on comic books. And yeah, that was usually the way I got comics back then. Base game for Battletech is great. Supplements are just that, supplements. Yeah, unfortunately, I always ended up gaming with people that were real diehards, and no, you have to use every single supplement or you're doing it wrong. Sorry, TOS, I'm wrapping up, but you could go back and watch it. But Monkey's supposed to go live here shortly, if he hasn't already. I've gone over what I planned on doing. So, yeah, we're probably going to wrap it up here. But thank you all for coming out and listening to me rant. Looking at getting the Battletech game on Steam. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Giovanni, that's how I feel too. It's fun if you have them, but if you don't, it shouldn't be mandatory. Well, picture the one at the Big Bang Theory, make it smellier and make everyone fatter, and make their dialogue less witty and obnoxious, and more obnoxious occasionally. And people seeing a girl and kind of like, she lost. Excuse me, ma'am, are you lost? But yeah, it's a 50-50. It's much more bizarre than you think. It can be a lot of fun, but yeah, they're usually kind of dirty and dimly lit. Well, I would like to entertain you, TOS, through your entire shift, but I know Monkey wants to go live. Oh, you don't watch TV? Good for you. You're not missing anything. Big Bang Theory sucked. But yeah, they tend to be kind of dirty, dimly lit places run by middle-aged fat dudes or scrawny, weird-looking guys with lots of really cool stuff in them, and they're more than happy to talk to you about it. Oh, the cardboard mechs were the best. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for coming out, and thanks for all the support you give. It's greatly appreciated, and hopefully we'll see you next week, probably earlier. I'm going to try and do these closer to 9 o'clock, but throw curveballs. And you all have a wonderful evening. Do something fun this weekend so I can pretend I did it.